Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Off the Charts. We are currently on season two of this amazing series, right? Now, I really started this series because at the time when I thought about starting it, I was really listening to Bob Proctor a lot. You Were Born Rich, which is a book. It's a really amazing book. It's a really amazing program that you can check out on YouTube. And it's all about resetting your mind to get it on track to essentially do whatever you want it to do. You may be living your life in a way that you aren't 100% happy with, but you do have the ability to change that once you actually change your mindset. So, you Were Born Rich is actually the program that inspired me to really start this series and to just have more open conversations about why we currently feel the way we do about our financial situation or just our overall views about wealth. Um, I'm wearing a shirt, y'all. I tried to pull it up, but let me just put this down a little bit. So, yes, that's what Off the Charts is all about. It's really just letting you guys know that you can be whatever you want to be in your life. You can have whatever you want to have. You can amass as much wealth as you want in this lifetime. And specifically in this chapter or this season, right? Season two, we are talking about the book, The Science of Getting Rich, right? And it's by Wallace D. Wattles. And it really just lets you know there is a practical and simple way that you can go about doing things to just correct the way you think once you understand some basic principles just about how thought works. And he really breaks down the law of attraction into a practical thing that everybody can essentially understand. And I really like that. So, welcome back for the people who have been watching the entire series. This is actually episode 12. There are 11 previous chapters that you can check out on my YouTube channel at The Cosmic Club Official, or you can just put in Off the Charts, The Science of Getting Rich, and it should come up. So, yeah, guys, I am the founder. My name is Chacha. I'm the founder and host of the Cosmic Club. It's just an organization who is always putting out really amazing content that will inspire you to think a different way, which will then inspire you to act a different way, and you will really see different results in your life. So, if you feel like you're at an impasse right now, you're ready to break the habit of your thinking, you're ready to create some new patterns, and you need an extra push, then the Cosmic Club is definitely a place where you can get that type of content because we have a few different types of shows. This show, Off the Charts, we have another show called The Digital Dash, which is really geared towards the entrepreneurs. If you are an entrepreneur right now, or if you feel like you want to start to seek entrepreneurship part time, it's a really amazing podcast hosted with one of my good friends and business partners. And we really just talk about our experiences with entrepreneurship and what we've been through, what we've experienced so far, and we're passing on that knowledge and experiences to you. So it's amazing. It streams live every Wednesday at 8 o'clock p.m. So if you want to link to that and you want to check that out, you can just comment dash below, and I'll make sure that you are plugged into that community. Because as an entrepreneur, it's nice to be surrounded by other entrepreneurs and people who are doing the same thing. So if you're looking for that, the Cosmic Club has it. Just go to the Cosmic Club official or comment dash down below so that I can get you the information to hop on the live call. So, without further ado, guys, we are actually going to hop right into our discussion today. And we are continuing our conversation on the science of getting rich, right, by Wallace D. Wattles. I was introduced to this book by a friend. We typically recommend each other business resources, and we know that your mind is one of the best business resources and assets that you can have. So it's important to make sure that you are putting the right things into your mind, to make sure that you are staying focused on those things, and to make sure you know the importance of your position and place right now, right? Because as an entrepreneur or somebody who is seeking to build a different life or build wealth, things are not always going to be easy, right? It may not be a smooth transition, unless you hit the lottery or you have some type of inheritance. You're not going to make a bunch of money in 1 second, right? Unless you have positioned yourself to do so, right? And unless you are making sure you're taking the careful steps that you're setting yourself up for opportunity to even um, have that happen to you, right? Most people who listen to this series and watch Off the Charts, they're here because they want to change the way they think about money, right? Because our relationship with money is going to affect how much we have, right? And it's going to also affect how we spend it. It's going to affect how we attract it, how we keep it, how we multiply it. And if you've never been told that you deserve a large amount of money, you can have a large amount of money. If you've never been told that you can actually attract the amount of money you want based on your attitude towards that money and just having the attitude of gratitude, then how would you actually know those things, right? Because really, they say if you knew better, you do better. So once you can undo your previous programming about what you've learned, and once you understand how that programming got there, you can take better steps to correct your mindset, and then create more wealth for yourself, right? You have to constantly be focusing on something in order for that thing to manifest into your life. So if you've been experiencing the same patterns, meeting the same types of people, and you identify these as negative patterns, then something needs to change, right? And it's going to start with your mind, right? You spend more time with yourself than anybody in the world. So it's important that the things you surround yourself with, the way that you speak to yourself, the things that you allow to occupy your mind are always in alignment with where you actually want to be, right? So this book, The Science of Getting Rich, is amazing. I actually have been listening to the audiobook on Apple Music. You can check it out there. I'm sure it is on YouTube as well. And you can also probably find it on Spotify or any platform that streams. Just type in The Science of Getting Rich and they'll have the chapters listed as the tracks. So I like the fact that you can listen to this anytime on the go. And you can always find, like, anytime you introduce a new idea, a new concept, or opportunity to somebody, one of their rebuttals may be, I don't have time, right? But we listen to music, right? Some people who commute back and forth. If you're traveling, I know when I fly, I like to have a nice playlist. If you can just replace some of the things that you're listening to, your music, with this podcast, that is the time that you have right there to reprogram yourself. If it's that important to you, you will make the time to do it. Something else that helped me was I used to play it while I slept, right? So it would just, because your mind doesn't shut off just because you go to sleep, right? Hence is why we have dreams. So just keep putting those positive thoughts and ideas out there. Keep yourself in the vibration of the wealth that you actually want to create, and just always be in a position to receive it. So, again, so far we've gone through 11 chapters. I'm not going to recap every chapter, but I will read the titles. And again, if any title sticks out to you, or if you just want to review the entire series from the beginning, because we've been working through the book chapter by chapter, this is chapter 12, then I highly advise you to subscribe to the channel, right? If you like the way the conversation is going so far, if you've already learned something, I encourage you to like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, because I'm always dropping something that's going to inspire you to think differently. Hence, when you think differently, you can act differently. And when you act differently, you will get different results. And that is why we are here. So it's super exciting. So chapter one is called The Right to Be Rich. Just letting you know that you do have a right to be rich if that's something that you want. Because if you feel like you can't, those are the things you have to ask yourself. Why do I feel like I can't? Right? But then don't even waste times on those questions, because again, this is all about you having the awareness that you can actually choose your thoughts. So if you tell yourself, I want to be rich, then that is what you're choosing to tell yourself, right? The reason why the 1% is the 1% is because they're willing to do what 99% people do not do, which is change their thoughts, change their habits, right? Which is to stop bad behavior, replace it with good behavior. The closest analogy I can give you guys is to a diet. If you change your diet to something that's more healthy, you eat more greens, you drink more water, you're going to see better results in your health. You're going to have more energy, right? Your skin might look better, your hair might grow better, your nails might grow better. That's because you change what you were putting into your body. Now, imagine if you change what you were putting into your mind, right? Because your mind is actually the thing that creates the reality that you live in. If you're constantly focused on your struggle, you're only going to create more struggle, because every thought that we think is impressed upon, right, the ultimate consciousness, and it's going to be a result of what you were thinking of. So we have to understand that. So if you want to be rich. You don't have to feel bad about that. Everybody has the right to be rich. And that's what chapter 1 is about. Chapter 2 is called There is a Science to Getting Rich. Chapter 3 is opportunity monopolized. Chapter 4 is the first principle in the science of getting rich, which is you have to understand that every thought that you think will be produced. So if you only focus on thoughts of wealth and prosperity and abundance, then that is what you will attract. If you only focus on thoughts of poverty and sadness and despair, right, then that is all you will attract. And if you feel like that's what you've been attracting, you now understand that you have to change the way that you're thinking, right? So that's the first principle in the science of getting rich, chapter 4, if you want to check out that video. Chapter 5 is increasing life. Chapter 6 is how riches come to you. Chapter 7 is gratitude. Chapter 8 is thinking in a certain way, right? That's a very important chapter. Chapter 9 is how to use the will, right? Chapter 10 is the further use of the will. And chapter 11 is acting in a certain way, which brings us here to chapter 12, right? Efficient action, right? And I really love this chapter, right? I'm going to play it. Of course, it is about, how long is it? It's about 7 minutes. It's about 8 minutes long, 7 minutes and 45 seconds. So we're going to listen to it. Then we're going to share our thoughts. If anybody has anything to say, I'll read it. If not, I'm going to break down what I think this chapter means, and then we'll have an open discussion at the end. So thank you guys for joining, whether you are watching this playback or whether you are here live. So here we go.
Chapter 12, Efficient Action. You must use your thought as directed in previous chapters and begin to do what you can do where you are, and you must do all that you can do where you are. You can advance only by being larger than your present place, and no man is larger than his present place who leaves undone any of the work pertaining to that place. The world is advanced only by those who more than fill their present places. If no man quite filled his present place, you can see that there must be a going backward in everything. Those who do not quite fill their present places are dead weight upon society, government, commerce, and industry. They must be carried along by others at a great expense. The progress of the world is retarded only by those who do not fill the places they are holding. They belong to a former age in a lower stage or plane of life, and their tendency toward degeneration. No society could advance if every man was smaller than his place. Social evolution is guided by the law of physical and mental evolution. In the animal world, evolution is caused by excess of life. When an organism has more life than can be expressed in the function of its own plane, it develops the organs of a higher plane, and a new species is originated. There never would have been new species had there not been organisms which more than filled their places. The law is exactly the same for you. Your getting rich depends upon your applying this principle to your own affairs. Every day is either a successful day or a day of failure, and it is the successful days which get you what you want. If every day is a failure, you can never get rich, while if every day is a success, you cannot fail to get rich. If there is something that may be done today and you do not do it, you have failed insofar as that thing is concerned, and the consequences may be more disastrous than you imagine. You cannot foresee the results of even the most trivial act. You do not know the workings of all the forces that have been set moving in your behalf. Much may be depending on your doing simple act. It may be the very thing which is to open the door of opportunity to very great possibilities. You can never know all the combinations which supreme intelligence is making for you in the world of things and of human affairs. Your neglect or failure to do some small thing may cause a long delay in getting what you want. Do every day all that can be done that day. There is, however, a limitation or qualification of the above that you must take into account. You are not to overwork, nor to rush blindly into your business in the effort to do the greatest possible number of things in the shortest possible time. You are not to try to do tomorrow's work today, nor to do a week's worth in a day. It is really not the number of things you do, but the efficiency of each separate action that counts. Every act is, in itself, either a success or a failure. Every act is, in itself, either effective or inefficient. Every inefficient act is a failure. And if you spend your life in doing inefficient acts, your whole life will be a failure. The more things you do, the worse for you, if all your acts are inefficient ones. On the other hand, every efficient act is a success in itself. And if every act of your life is an efficient one, your whole life must be a success. The cause of failure is doing too many things in an inefficient manner and not doing enough things in an efficient manner. You will see that it is a self evident proposition that you do not do any inefficient acts, and if you do a sufficient number of efficient acts, you will become rich. If now it is possible for you to make each act an efficient one, you see again that the getting of riches is reduced to an exact science, like mathematics. The matter turns, then, on the question whether you can make each separate act a success in itself. And this you can certainly do. You can make each act a success because all power is working with you, and all power cannot fail. Power is at your service, and to make each act efficient, you have only to put power into it. Every action is either strong or weak, and when everyone is strong, you are acting in the certain way which will make you rich. Every act can be made strong and efficient by holding your vision while you are doing it and putting the whole power of your faith and purpose into it. It is at this point that the people fail who separate mental power from personal action. They use the power of mind in one place and at one time, and they act in another place and at another time. So their acts are not successful in themselves. Too many of them are inefficient. But if all power goes into every act, no matter how commonplace, every act will be a success in itself. And as in the nature of things, every success opens the way to other successes. Your progress toward what you want and the progress of what you want toward you will become increasingly rapid. Remember that successful action is cumulative in its results. Since the desire for more life is inherent in all things, when a man begins to move toward larger life, more things attach themselves to him, and the influence of his desire is multiplied. Do every day all that you can do that day, and do each act in an efficient manner. In saying that you must hold your vision while you are doing each act, however trivial or commonplace, I do not mean to say that it is necessary at all times to see the vision distinctively to its smallest details. It should be the work of your leisure hours to use your imagination on the details of your vision and to contemplate them until they are firmly fixed upon memory. If you wish speedy results, spend practically all your spare time in this practice. By continuous contemplation, you will get the picture of what you want, even to the smallest details, so firmly fixed upon your mind and so completely transferred to the mind of formless substance that in your working hours, you need only to mentally refer to the picture to stimulate your faith and purpose and cause your best effort to be put forth. Contemplate your picture in your leisure hours until your consciousness is so full of it that you can grasp it instantly. You will become so enthused with its bright promises that the mere thought of it will call forth the strongest energies of your whole being. Let us again repeat our syllabus, and by slightly changing the closing statements, bring it to the point we have now reached. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which, in its original state, permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner spaces of the universe. A thought, in this substance, produces the thing that is imaged by the thought. Man can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. In order to do this, man must pass from the competitive to the creative mind. He must form a clear mental picture of the things he wants and do with faith and purpose all that can be done each day, doing each separate thing in an efficient manner.
All right. So that was chapter 12 of The Science of Getting Rich. That is the book we are reviewing for people who are just joining us. The Science of Getting Rich is a book by Wallace D. Wattles that explains to you in a practical way how to use the law of attraction to correct your mindset, understand how thoughts work, understand how the thoughts that you think produce the actions that you take, which produce the results that you have. And just knowing that once you correct the issue at a root level, you'll be able to see results in a quicker and a faster way, just like he said. So I'm sorry if you guys heard me back here eating my snacks. I was eating my wrap snacks, wrap icon, honey jalapeno. And I was like, I wonder, have you ever wondered like if people can hear you chewing? I'm like, I'm sorry, y'all, but I'm so hungry. So yeah, so basically, if anybody has any comments about that chapter, you can drop it in the chat. If not, I will start to break down what I love about this chapter. Um, okay. So when I listen to this chapter, the first word that really comes to my mind is positioning, right? And positioning really is like where you are right now, right? And most of us never stop to think, how do we actually get to where we are? We just wake up every day, we get on with our days, we just get on with our lives, right? Because life sometimes can be very challenging, right? It can be challenging with relationships with people, it can be challenging at work, it can be challenging with your children, it can be challenging with your work, your project, your entrepreneurship. It can be challenging, right? So we're constantly working through challenges and we never stop to think, how did we actually get into this situation in the first place? Right? And if we stop and think, we would realize that we actually had not been stopping to think in the past to take more efficient action towards what we actually want. Right? Now it's not uncommon for people to love their jobs, but we can agree that we've all had a job that we did not love before, right? We've had a job that we didn't love before, but we did that thing because we thought that that was the only way that we could make money at that time. Because if we knew that there was a simpler way, or if we had a plan, right, if we actually had a plan, then we could have took different action to get the same results, right? Because I've had a lot of jobs and I don't work at any of them anymore, right? And at the time, I was very stressed, like, oh my God, I need to be at this job. If I don't do this right, I'm not going to get this money, right? It was all surrounded by how am I going to attract this money, right? But what if I would have sat down and wrote a business plan and said, okay, this is the type of business that I want to create, right? Okay, people who have created this type of business before, what steps did they take to make their business successful, right? We never set aside time to actually think about the correct steps to take to actually achieve the result that we want because we're too busy trying to solve problems as they come up. What I like about this book is that it helps us understand that you can always slow down to rewire your mind because if you don't stop to do that, then none of this is going to work, right? The thoughts that you think are going to produce the actions that you take, which are going to produce the results. An example I like to give a lot as well on this series is if you want to cook a specific thing, right? Or if you want to eat a specific thing, let's just say that because a lot of people don't like to cook. You may be using DoorDash or another delivery service to get food, right? You first, in your mind, think about what it is that you want to eat, right? You taste it. You be like, ooh, I have a taste for maybe macaroni and cheese, maybe fried chicken, whatever you have a taste for. Then that thought, the image, the taste, the feeling inspires you to actually open the app to order the food, or it inspires you to get up and go to the kitchen to make it, or go to the restaurant because the desire, the feeling, the emotion associated with having that thing was so strong, it inspired you to take action to get it, right? So now you ordered the food, right? Or you prepared the food and now you're eating it and you feel good, right? The feeling that you first thought and felt when you wanted to experience eating that food, right? You manifested it in front of you, right? You went through the entire process to get that physical thing because the desire was so strong to have it. Now, imagine if you took that same concept and you applied it to how you feel about wealth, right? And how you feel about money, right? You have to see it in your mind and desire the outcome that you want, right? Everybody doesn't want to make $1 million, but everybody wants to be stability, have stability, and not really stress about finances, right? And not really stress about money. So let's just say whatever comfort is for you, just take a few seconds to think about like what that feels like. Like, yo, it would be nice to live by the beach, or it would be nice to have a penthouse away from noisy neighbors, right? Or it would be nice to have my own home, my own property, something that I can own and pass on to my children, right? Think about that feeling first and then start to take the efficient action that you need to take in order to obtain that thing. Now you may not know, but now that you know how good that feeling felt, right? And you know how good it feels to order food and have it taste like exactly what you had a taste for, right? If you know that feeling, imagine how good it would feel to finally make that $1 million or to finally break the generational curse of your family of just not taking action on anything, right? Just connect the feeling, right, and the desire and the image that you feel, the same joy that you get when the food that you order is exactly what you had a taste for. It has to be the same feeling that you attach to when you think about getting rich, right? Don't just let it be a passive idea like, oh, I wish I could do this. No, remember how happy you felt and then take the right steps to get that thing. The same way that you opened the app and ordered the food, open your journal and start to plan out the steps that you need to take to get the results that you want, right? But then think about where you are right now. And if you can come to the realization like, okay, maybe I didn't plan effectively and that's why I'm in my job I don't like. Maybe I didn't plan effectively and that's why I don't have my savings account as strong as I would like my savings account to be. Now that you know what the issue is, you can be more aware of where you are right now so that you can take the right steps so that you don't end up in that situation again, right? Maybe you weren't putting away money from every source that you had, right? Maybe you have had multiple streams of income, but you didn't realize that it was multiple streams of income. So you couldn't save properly because you didn't see the value in it. But now that you have that awareness, you can be like, okay, anytime I get money from anywhere, I should save maybe 25%. Right now that you have the awareness, you can take the effective action to get the result that you want, right? So it's all about knowing where you are because your position and place is always going to be important to where you end up, right? If you can look at your situation and circumstances and say, okay, this is what I did last time. I just accepted the first job offer that came. I just accepted the first person that came. I just accepted the lowest amount, the first offer that they gave me. If you know that that has not been helping you get closer to where you want to be, right? Whether it's financially, whether it's in business, then you have to now say, okay, I have to negotiate, right? Or maybe I have to raise my prices, right? Or maybe I have to risk a little more, right? Especially for my people who trade. We know we've been getting small results with smaller risk, but you know that the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward, right? And every step and action that you take is going to be super important to the result that you get, right? Another analogy that I always like to use is with traveling, right? If you knew, well, first, let's take it to the beginning of the vacation. First, you think, I could really use a vacation. I know when I think I could use a vacation, I always think of warm weather. I think of beaches. I think of beautiful sunsets. I think of delicious food. I just think of island vibes, right? So I'm like, okay, I have that image and that feeling. I'm just like, it would just feel so nice to be sitting by the beach, like, so that's the feeling that I get. And then I'm like, okay, what place makes me feel like that? Let's just say San Juan. I love going to San Juan, Puerto Rico. For you guys who have not been, it's so nice. It's always nice. So let's just say, okay, then I'm going to start looking up the flights. First, I'm going to find out which airline do I want to fly with, right? So I'm going to start looking at my airline. I'm going to compare prices, right? Then I'm going to pay. Then I'm going to pack, and I'm going to pack for the weather. If I'm going to an island, of course, I'm going to want to wear clothing that is not. I'm not going to bring a turtleneck and a sweater and all these things for cold weather. I'm going to pack appropriately, right? Because I know what the desired outcome is. I want to be comfortable, right? I want to have a good time on this island. So I've created the image, the idea, the feeling, and I took the appropriate steps to get there. I took the appropriate steps to get there. And then I kept going with the process, which means that I know that I should have a proper vacation. I know that if it rains, I packed appropriately. I know that I checked the weather before I left. I know that hey, Spicy. I know that I checked the weather before I left. I know that I got the right shoes. I know that I'm not going to a cold place because I planned the trip, right? So if we can take that same exact idea and apply it to how we feel about money, then we would be able to create a better end result for ourselves. So this chapter is really amazing. And it's so many different ways that things can actually turn out when you realize the place that you're playing in somebody else's life as well. Like a lot of people don't realize, like you feel like what you're doing right now may not be integral to the entire process, so you may not be giving it your all. But just think about the people that actually came before you. Think about the people that came before you. If they didn't do the small things and little things that they did on the daily basis to make sure that they got the result, then you wouldn't really be where you are right now. So if you really feel passionate about whatever your thing is, make sure you're doing it every single day, right? The only way you're really going to get better at something, the only way you're going to be able to establish your, let's just say you are still working, establish your place or position in the company, you really have to stand out. You have to be doing everything you can where you are in order to get to the next level. And that's just really what efficient action is all about. Are you doing all that you can where you are right now to get yourself to the next level? Or are you literally just expecting things to happen for you, right? Things are not just going to happen, right? And I say this all the time. It doesn't just happen. It happens because you got yourself there, right? Another fitness example is if you're in a bodybuilding competition, right? You know that the competition is on this day, right? You know what the last person's records was, right? You know what you're comparing yourself to, right? You know exactly what you have to do every single day, every second of the day. You know you have to eat this much, you know you have to lose this much fat, gain this much muscle, you know you have to pose a certain way because you've done it every single day in a very specific way to get a very specific result. Is scientific, right? Science is just something that makes it easy for us to understand. And the science of getting rich lets us know that if you do things in a certain way, if you act a certain way, if you think a certain way, if you make every moment count like you know that there's a deadline on it, then you will be so much further ahead every single day. Right? He said every efficient action is a success and every ineffective action is a failure. Right? So if you know that you could stay up a little longer to work on your project, right? You may, for people who are still working, because this, I was in this position before, you spend a lot of time and mental energy at work, right? Maybe dealing with your coworkers, dealing with customers, maybe in your household you're dealing with a lot of different people. So by the time you take in all these energies and do all these things, you feel like you don't have the time energy to put into your own self, right? You feel like you don't have the time and energy to put into your project, right? You may be so tired and worn down from your everyday life that you don't even feel like entrepreneurship is for you. If you had an idea, you think about it all the time, but it's really just an idea because you feel like you don't have the space and time to do that. You have to make the space and time to do it. There's always going to be a situation that's going on that you're going to feel like is bigger than what you want. But if you decide that you want to sleep, right, instead of staying up that extra hour to actually take the time to work on your exit plan slash success strategy, right, then it's not going to happen. Right, sleeping will be an ineffective action because it's not helping you. Like, granted, if you're tired, right, I know some of us we really just have to sleep sometimes, but you have to sometimes push through, right? You have to sometimes push through or find the time. Maybe it's not sleep. Maybe on your lunch break you want to catch up with Netflix because you can't at home. Maybe don't catch up with that. Maybe take that time. So instead of doing something ineffective, right, towards your goal, nothing wrong with Netflix, nothing wrong with leisure time. I want to distinguish that. Definitely take leisure time, but is that time that you're using to do this thing an ineffective action towards your goal or an effective action towards your goal? Because sometimes being well, no, not sometimes, being well rested is an effective action of your goal. But if you find yourself sleeping so much because you don't want to deal with life or you don't want to process life, that's ineffective because you can't say you want to be a millionaire and not want to get up early or stay up later. Like you really have to choose one because once you're up, you're just up, right? So you really have to choose one. You can't say I want to be a millionaire, but you spend money every chance that you get. Like think about it. He said every single thing that you choose to do within your day is either geared towards your failure or your success, and it's based on the actions that you choose to take. Right? People really be choosing, hence the results that they get. Right? Some people choose to really support your business. Right? So they get amazing customer loyalty perks, right? Some people choose to support your social media, right? So they get continuous amazing content, right? They get to actually engage with you because they're authentically engaging, right? But then you have people that choose not to support, right? And people who choose not to share or your content, right? And nothing against those people, but they're not going to get your time and energy, right? Especially for entrepreneurs. Like if you've ever been in a position where you've just been taking so much, or you feel like you've been taking so much effective action, you should see the results, right? You should see the results. Like even that it may not be fireworks going off in the sky and it may not be stadiums filled with people, right, celebrating you yet. You may not be at that stage yet. If you're an entrepreneur and you recognize that the effective action steps that you've taken, right? The extra hours that you put in, the extra time that you put in, the extra thought that you put in, the extra attention to detail, right? If you saw those results in your business from taking effective action, just drop some sevens in the chat, right? And I'm gonna drop some sevens as well because it's all about that, right? Because I've also been an ineffective entrepreneur where I wasn't taking the right steps towards wealth. I was taking more naps than I was working on my business. I was distracting myself with more um content on YouTube than sermons and things that I should be paying attention to. So yeah, and as Spicy, shout out to Spicy, she's on the call. I was telling you guys about her earlier. Um she really is consistently putting out things and her businesses are growing every single day, right? She's taking effective action every moment that she gets. That's another thing he said in this chapter. The more that you do it, the quicker that you'll see results, right? The more effective action that you take on a daily basis, the quicker you'll receive results. And if you just want your entire world to change, he said you have to be obsessed with this. This has to be the only thing you think about and focus on is effective action, right? And it's not about burning yourself out, but it's about being mindful. What am I thinking about? Right? Am I thinking about, oh my God, something that happened last week? Oh my God, something that happened last month? Oh my God, something that happened last year? Oh my God, somebody that's not even in my life right now. Am I thinking about those things or am I thinking about, oh my God, I cannot wait to meet the person who's going to sign my first $1 million check. I cannot wait to see this first six-figure deposit cleared by check. I cannot wait to have $500,000 in sales. Like what is really occupying your mind, right? Because the things that, again, I've said this several times throughout this session today, the things that occupy your mind, right? The things that you think is going to affect the action that you take. Hence, is going to affect the results that you get. So you really have to start thinking about what you're thinking about, right? And if you catch yourself thinking about some nonsense, just stop it right there. Because you literally, the whole point of this series is to let you know that you can choose your thoughts, right? And I say that a lot, but to break it down even further, you can choose to accept, right, the thoughts that are in your mind. You can choose to reject the thoughts that come to your mind, and you can choose to modify the thoughts that come to your mind. Like it's really up to you. Like if you resonate with what I'm saying right now, just because you've never heard it before, that does not mean that you cannot choose to accept it, right? And just like if you don't agree with everything I'm saying right now, then you can choose to reject the things that you disagree with and say, that does not apply to me, right? So if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if it's something that you feel like, wow, this really resonates with me, this is very useful, then this is the perfect time to like, comment, share, subscribe, right? Because this is the type of content that the Cosmic Club is all about producing, right? We just want to let you know that you can think and grow rich, right? That's another amazing book that I highly recommend anybody who's serious about changing your mindset really tap into. Again, you can buy the physical book for my classic people, so that you can take notes and just carry it around, like Bob Proctor did. You can listen to it on YouTube. You can listen to it on any streaming platform that has that host books, right? Think and Grow Rich, because that is really our entire focus on Off the Charts, is to let you know that you can choose your thoughts, which means that you can choose the actions that you take, right? You can choose the way that your life actually turns out, and you don't have to accept what's been handed to you, right? Where you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be, right? It's the position that you put yourself in based on the thoughts that you had, right? And not just the thoughts that you've had, but the thoughts that other people have thought about you as well, right? But you can now take control at this moment and choose. The same way people invite you to join the church every single Sunday, I'm inviting you right now to choose, right? To change your mindset and accept that you don't have to accept the thoughts that have come before. You don't have to accept the 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 things that have come before, right? Always take accountability for your actions, but you did not program yourself to be the way you are. You did not. But you can choose the way things go from this point on, right? Your past does not have to define your future. The things that you've been taught about money, maybe every time you ask for something, you were rejected. Maybe you never had enough, but those thoughts can literally stop now, and you can start to take the effective action to make sure that you never have to worry about money again, because you understand that it's a vibration and that you can keep yourself in that vibration, right? You can keep yourself in the vibration of wealth, right? The example that I gave at the beginning of this series was, if you ever ordered food and it tastes like exactly what you want, right? You thought about that food and then you ordered it, right? Whether you was at a restaurant, whether you used DoorDash, or whether you cooked it, and it was exactly what you want. You have to understand that you took that thought and that feeling and the taste of wanting the food, the desire, and you made it into something, a physical thing that was really in front of you. Now, if you can do that with food, right? If you can turn a thought into physical food that will nourish your body, how do you think you're going to feel when you can turn a thought and feeling into $1 million that's going to nourish your bank account? What about $2 million, right? What about 1 billion, right? Because those are the type of possibilities that I'm talking about when you open your mind to whatever you want to receive, right? Understand that every thought that we think, right, is impressed upon, right, the ultimate thoughtless substance, right? That is what he would call it in his book, but the formless substance, but it's really just God, right? Anything you ask for, anything you want, you can have. Once you accept that, you can have it. And once you accept that, you are really in control of the choices that you make. Just be grateful for the energy that fuels you. If you don't know what it takes to change, ask, because anything you think, anything you desire, anything you want will be given to you. So that's really going to wrap up this chapter today. I really enjoyed it because this entire book is about just shifting the way you think. And again, that's going to shift the way you act. And once you understand that it's your willpower, right? One of the chapters is all about, you understand this now, right? Or you are aware of this now. You may not understand it. You may need to run this episode back. You may need to go back and start from chapter one, right? You may need to listen to the book and then come back and listen to the explanation, right? But you will get it, right? Because the information is there. So I'm super excited to have shared this time with y'all today. I'm so glad for the people who are choosing to live their life in a different way, or to start thinking a certain way and acting a certain way. I'm so excited for the new lives that you're about to create for yourself just by um, accepting a new way of thinking, right? The Bible says we are really renewed by your mind is renewed. Like, your mind has to be renewed first, right? You can't be caught up with what's going on in the world, right? It has to start with the renewing of your mind. That is how you create the best life for yourself. So, again, this is Off the Charts, right? This is chapter 12 of The Science of Getting Rich. This is season two, right, of The Science of Getting Rich, right? So, you guys, if you want to check out the rest of the series, again, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. It is the Cosmic Club official. You can hit the button right down there. Also, make sure you follow the Cosmic Club on Instagram for daily content produced about thought, mindset, money, right? Wealth, law of attraction, and things just like what we talked about in this episode today. I will see you guys next Sunday, right? Live at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time to record chapter 13, which is getting into the right business, right? So that's super important. But I enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next week.